What's new, Joe? And let's see, let's start with DC this week.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, I was just gonna say DC is just, usually it's Image
Mm.
that's put. It's been DC the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has. Well, Image has been in like kind of like the disarray. Like we've heard about, of course, the printing issues and everything, and I feel like we talked about with the recent interview that we have that you guys will hear a little bit later down the line. Then I think it came up with Chip as well, and there may be somebody else that it came up with. But obviously, the printing issue is a problem, and it's impacted a lot of people. But DC seems to be like the only one, or maybe Marvel too. Like the big two don't seem to be as hit as hard by it as the indies, and maybe that's what it comes down to at the end of it all.
Yeah.
But DC definitely had a great week. Of course, from my list that you aren't also reading, I have Batman Urban Legends issue 9, Future State Gotham issue 7. I still have not read Harley Quinn the Eat Bang Kill tour. Issue 3 is out this week, but I do want to give that one a look because I really enjoyed that show. Titans United, the first issue was solid. I kind of lost sight of this book. Then there's Black Manta issue 3, Superman versus Lobo 2. Are you out on this series?
Yeah, I never finished the first one. I
That was
couldn't.
Mirka Andolfo's art too.
Yeah, I love her art,
Mhm.
and Sarah Beatty is one of the writers on it. I don't know. I got halfway through. It's like I can't. I just never finished it, and then it was like it's been like 3 months, four
It's been a
months since
long time. Yeah,
like
it's
in
weird.
between issues. So I completely forgot about it. To be honest with you.
Now, there's one book that's on. We have two books from DC that we're both reading. I want to break those down a little bit. One of them, though, I didn't get to read the first issue, but you did, and we saw one of our coworkers over at Geeks Worldwide wasn't a huge fan of the first issue of this book, Batman the Imposter 2. You have read this already. What did you think?
It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know why. Like to each their own, right?
Right,
This
of
this,
course,
this
yeah.
shit is all subjective, but it's exactly what we sort of clamor for, and it's giving us a Batman story that's different,
Mm-hmm.
right? That isn't just the same old look, isn't the same old story, and so while the art is definitely different, and Bruce Wayne and Batman, I would think, or I would say, that Batman and Bruce Wayne almost comes off as a sociopath as my voice fucking cracks
Yeah, no, you're
right
absolutely
there.
right. The first issue, especially, because that's the only I can speak to so far.
And so it's different. That's, we're used to Batman being an odd duck and we're used to him being a loner, but there's something about this story in which, you're getting some real good detective work in the sense that Batman has to find essentially himself. Someone is going around Gotham and killing all these people, and Batman's taking the fall for it because by all intents and purposes, it is Batman. And there's this relationship between Bruce Wayne and the person that the lead detective on the case. It's just a cat and mouse game, and then there's a therapist involved, and so we're seeing Bruce Wayne in a different light. We're seeing Batman in a different light, and I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah,
And it's different. And that's what I want with Batman.
in the first issue too, and one of the things, of course, we worry about pacing when it comes to books too. We don't want like these quick fast things. Of course, we don't want just like we want like there's one book that came out this week that we will talk about later from Image that is like it was not as fast as the first issue, but it's like you read that thing in a blink. As much as there's
Yeah.
a lot going on panels, there's no dialogue. We don't want that. But at the same time, you don't want to there are times where it gets too bogged down, gets very stagnant.
Yeah.
And the Batman the Imposter is the opposite of that. I feel like it moves very quickly at a very brisk pace. And like you said, the biggest thing is it's handling Bruce in a different manner. And that's the kind of shit that we want. So
And I love that it's a different villain. Like we don't know who the villain. We just know that the villain is an imposter Batman,
right.
and that could be anybody, and it might
Yep.
not even be anyone that we know.
Right.
Right. So there's great intrigue there. Because I love the fact that at least it's not right from the onset. You don't know that it's the Joker or it's the Riddler or it's the Penguin or it's whomever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of intrigue to this book, whereas like say Batman versus Bigby, like that one, I don't know. That's a different Batman type of story, but that one doesn't really grab me as this one does.
You're not a fan of the Big Bad Wolf? Okay. Well, to each their own, like you said. But you also have Joker issue 9 came out this week. Then Pennyworth issue 4. You still loving Pennyworth?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
Okay. So maybe a show-worthy book or no?
Possible.
Okay, because that one's like 12 issues or something, or is it 7 issues?
Seven.
7. Okay. Okay. I knew it was limited, and I like that DC's doing that too. They're doing it with Human Target as well, and of
Yep.
course with their Black Label books they do that. And then we also got the book that we've been waiting for a while from Lemire, Robin and Batman Issue 1. What were your thoughts on this Dick Grayson narrated book?
I absolutely love it. I mean, this is Indy Lemire brought to DC. Now, I haven't read much of Lemire's other DC stuff. Like he did a Joker run, which I haven't read, which I want to. But you know what? I've said this time and time again. You know what Lemire does best is emotion. It's sort of capturing that inner turmoil that some of these characters have. And so when you think of Robin, you think of Dick Grayson. We see Nightwing now, and we see a much different character than what we're getting here. And so like we're getting that almost teen angst Dick Grayson, and we're Lemire's bringing what Lemire does to that character, which is awesome. And the relationship between him and Bruce and his early training and everything with his family, it was awesome. And the art, I love the use of watercolor.
Right? That definitely jumped out to me too.
This was a fantastic book.
Yeah, really, really good first issue. Really like Dick Grayson's and the getting that insight into the character at such a young age. Such a pivotal point in his life. When you look at the lifespan of the character, it's just like this would be a lot. Like imagine going through this at this age, like, and never mind like the stuff with your parents and everything. But now it's like you're training to become Robin, and like there's never been a Robin before. This is the first guy who's doing it, and like he's figuring it out along the way. And Batman is like a worse parent than we see him today, and he's not a great parent now. So it's a lot.
Yeah, and you almost get some Jason Todd vibes from a young Dick Grayson here, right? Like just that inner angst. Like imagine being that age, and of course you're gonna be pissed off and angry. Right, and you feel like you can do more, and so it was great.
And you're being like you think you're invincible, and like Batman's kind of teaching you how to like go up against an average person. You kind of can be invincible. It's gonna you're getting a lot closer to that. So it's an interesting exercise, and I'm very. This is a limited run as well. Is this only like a 2-issue thing? It's not long.
No, it's longer than that, but I don't know exactly how long.
Maybe it's 6 issues, but either way, I think this is going to be a must read for all Batman fans and any Nightwing fans out there too. Great start to this. We move over to Marvel, and I know you don't have anything on your pull list for Marvel this week, but we do get the first issue of the new Venom run. We also get the first issue of the new Thing run, and I plan on reading both of those. We also got Star Wars: The High Republic issue 11, which I've been reading. We have Kieran Gillen's Eternals issue 7. And then Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood issue 4, which I've been reading. Are you out on that one right now?
I mean, I read the first issue and then I just haven't.
Yeah.
Someone hasn't been uploading them into the, has been doing a piss poor job uploading their Marvel books.
I don't know who that would be. I don't know, if that was that person, they wouldn't have a stack right to their left, knowing full well that they haven't uploaded Moon Knight, Black Widow, the last 2 Star Wars: The High Republic, Inferno 2. That's not me. So I don't know.
Couldn't be
what we're doing here, but that thought doesn't cross my mind daily. Oh, should I upload those things? And then it slips my mind. That doesn't happen ever. Anyways, now that we're passive aggressively going through this, Image did have had an interesting week. Of course, it's Undiscovered Country issue 17. Are you caught up on Undiscovered Country or no?
No, I'm a few issues behind.
Okay. Of course, Scott Snyder books, Charles Soule. We talked with Scott about that. I think that was the first time we had him on. We talked a little about it, but we haven't really had a chance to talk to him about it much since. Sea of Stars, of course, you were reading that. We got Stillwater issue 11, of course, Chip Zdarsky. That's a Skybound book through Image. And then there was Phenom X issue 1, which definitely got a little bit of buzz coming in because is it John Leguizamo? Was that the actor?
I think so, yeah.
I can't remember. I know it's Leguizamo. I just can't remember if it's John or something else. But
John Leguizamo.
It's definitely not Leguizamo. Anyways, I was reading it. I'm like, all right, I got to read. I looked like, the cover may be interesting, whatever. And then it's like, oh, it's a Leguizamo book, okay. And then I start reading it, and I'm like, this is not great. And there's a difference. We've made it pretty clear on this show that there's a difference between not great and not for us, right?
Is it above the Patton Oswalt line?
Or
below?
Well, let me tell you this.
Look, we have a guest.
There's another book from Image that came out this week that was that you had more than 20 pages into the story, and it was like, okay, like it makes sense. With this, it's like this is a 50 something page book. Are you shitting me? So there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
So I will. I don't know if I'm gonna go try back and finish it, but I was not a fan of Phenom X Issue One. That said, we also had Ordinary Gods Issue 5, which we're both reading. And then we have 2 books from Image that we kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper into. We got a first issue and a second issue. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's go with The Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, because this book, I don't know if I've ever been more intrigued with a book and also more confused at the same time.
Yes.
Right?
So fucking confusing, this issue. I honestly, Joe, I read this issue and then I'm like, I gotta go back and look at the first one, because like what? Huh?
Yeah.
And there's no dialogue in the first one. It's like,
and
what
there's
did you miss?
hardly any dialogue in this one either. And I had to go back and read the synopsis of both the first and second issue. And I'm like, okay, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he seeking like what? I still don't know what the hell is going on. This is a book, I think, like week or month to month, probably like isn't like the best, but like when you get that first volume and you can rip through them all together, it's gonna make a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's
but like when you have that time off in between, and my daughter's here and just having a ball with the green screen right now. But like so it's like, oh, you forget, and because there's not a lot of dialogue, you're like, what the heck, but I think when the story is all told and put together and you read and you rip through it all the way through, then I think it's going to be a really good book.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair point. That when you go and look at it in a trade form, it's going to make a big difference. But for right now, it's like I go through this and I'm going through the same issues as you, Joe. It's like, is this character someone that we like? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Where did this happen?
Confused. I'm so fucking confused.
Yeah, it's like I can't figure out what his deal is. And his whole way, there was some clarity, I think, for me. And I you know what? Normally we don't want to spoil things, of course, on this show, but I want to say like there's something he does on the bus in the first issue where he's looking at his phone, right, and he's tracking things, and that's where he ends up getting to that house. So it's the first issue. This has been out for a while. Like, I think like, we see that he was tracking something, and then it brought him to this location, of course. So all the stuff that he does in this issue, like he was already on to this, like what he has stumbled upon. But then it's like he like when he stumbled upon it in the first issue, like the aftermath of the death and everything, it's like, oh fuck, like I'm actually like really getting close to it. And of course he takes steps closer in the second issue. I think he is a good guy. He's trying to make up, like try and get back at somebody or find out why something happened to someone close to him. That's what it seems like, just with the title.
And then I'm just like, oh, so I need to read them all like together, I think, because like I mean it takes 2 minutes to read the issue.
Oh my god,
honestly, right?
But it's good. It's good too. It's not like
it's intriguing as hell. And I think because of that sort of, that lack of dialogue, and you have this just real visual storytelling, that the confusion just makes you want to keep reading.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I'm very like I remember seeing the book pop up on my list. It's like, okay, yep, whatever. Got to go. I'll do all these other ones. Then when I'm like go to read it, it's like, oh, that's right. This is that book that's like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was such an interesting decision to just have like next to no dialogue in the first one, and there's almost nothing in this one too. There's definitely more. It's honestly like it's like 5 times more than the last issue, I think, but it's just there was nothing in the last issue.
Yeah.
And then of course we have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 1 by Matt Rosenberg. And this was one of those ones where I think we had talked about it a while ago. I heard him say this on an interview elsewhere, that this was a book that he had it as like this is the first 3 issues, like that he like of the actual book originally, because it's like a 64-page first issue. It's a lot. And I forgot that till we were reading it, like, oh, this thing's really long. But there's a lot in this. But it did make sense to me to kind of to have all this in an opening issue, because you're trying to set the scene, you're trying to introduce us to characters and kind of present problems or whatever. But it was very weird. It's very weird. I'm in after the first issue. I thought it was good. It's definitely like you have my interest. How did you feel about it?
So I mean, I too forgot that it was so bloody long, but it had to be, because if this was just a standard comic book, issue,
Mhm.
18, 20, 22 pages, however, you would have been like, what that, huh?
Mhm.
And so there was a lot going on. There was a bit of jumping around, a lot of characters, and the art, like, it was funny because we were talking about this beforehand, and I was like, did Tyler Boss drew this, but like that's not his. Why is his art so different? I got him confused with Tyler Kirkham,
I just don't know what the hell you're
right?
doing.
Well, Tyler and Tyler, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's
and
very
then
so
it's like,
hard. Yes,
so
clearly.
like that like knocked it down for me, and then I realized, like, oh no, wait, that's not, yeah, that's
That's his
that's
art
Tyler
style.
Boss's art. That's not, okay. Okay, so, but like, you know, the art style, for the book is very unique, and the story's unique, and where it ends definitely leaves you on a good cliffhanger.
Mhm.
And like part of me thinks like, okay, this probably could have been pared down a little bit,
Mhm.
right?
Could have.
Like I get like he could, like I just said, like he couldn't end it like where you would end a standard issue, because that would just be like, that's dumb. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's an odd choice. But like if it was maybe a double issue, I think that would have been like, if they probably could have cut some of it down a little bit, like just because the store, like there was a lot to really unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack, and it's confusing. Like we talk about the like our rights for vengeance being confusing, but like we're thrown into this post-apocalyptic world, and it's like, but it's still like it's not. It's like all run down and everything. And it's just like, what's going on? Like you're kids, but you're like you kind of look older, and
Yeah, you don't really get a sense of what's going on really until that last bit.
Mhm.
And there's still so much left that's to be explained, like, why is the world the way it is, and who exactly are the strangers, and why is it just kids? Like there's still, like, we got
Yeah.
some information, like basically what we know is what the world is in that moment,
Yep.
but we don't know how they got there.
Mhm.
And we still don't know the dynamics between the different little territories that we're introduced to. So I'm hoping that in the next issue we get some of that,
Yes.
because otherwise, I don't know.
I don't want a triple issue again. I will say that.
No, 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 no,
I
no. Yeah.
might, I probably still give it a chance, regardless. But I prefer like double is fine, but I don't want to go too far. And it's not like I felt there was a lot of fluff or anything. I felt like it was all important stuff. It's just it's a lot to take in at once, but you kind of need all of it for this story because you're setting
Yeah.
up this new world
They
and
could have
everything.
pared it down a bit. It definitely could have been pared down a bit,
Maybe
but
a bit,
it,
but like like how much is a bit? Is it like you think it's a third? Like you should have just been two issues, like condensed all that down.
I just think the information that we got, it could have been told a little bit more concisely.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe that's a fair point. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, the art is like that's not for either of us. It's not like Boss's art style is not necessarily our favorite. But I've definitely opened up myself a little bit more to like trying like giving other art styles a chance because like maybe it goes with the fluidity of the story more. And oftentimes that's the case. So like I'm open to it because it seemed to fit this story where it's kind
Yeah,
of
it
like
didn't put me off or anything like that,
grungy.
but I get why it might not be someone's cup of tea, because it is a
Yeah.
little different. But
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't take me out of the
It's
story
not our
though. No.
favorite, but it's not gonna go in like where maybe if it was some like your favorite style or whatever, then maybe that would be like you'd be like, I loved it. Maybe it would change it a little bit. But
Yeah.
still good first issue. Definitely gonna come back for more. From Dark Horse, we have you're reading May's book, issue 3, Unbelievable Unteens, issue 4, No One Left to Fight 2. Issue 2 is what is a book I'm reading from Dark Horse this week. Aftershock, we got Chicken Devil, issue 2. Are you still reading Kanto from IDW?
I mean, I've got them all
Okay.
like lined up. I've read Canto 1. I read the initial series, which is awesome, and it's supposed to be, I think it got optioned, for a
Huh.
show, a cartoon or something like that, but I still have some catching up to do with this series as a whole.
Okay. I know one series you're gonna have to catch up on later on, but you have no choice but to wait. Is We Have Demons 2 from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo at
Can you
Comixology.
see that? Can you see that for those watching?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Huge We Have Demons fans over here. He's only read one issue. The second issue came out this week, and it was real like started off like a little bit like, okay, all right, cool. And then I think like midway through, maybe it's just like, oh fuck. Like the whole every
Yeah.
page. It's like, oh shit. the entire
Capullo
time.
alluded to it, right? When
Yeah,
he
it was really good, and there was a line that they talked about on when we had Scott and Greg on. That's like that Scott seemed particularly proud of, and it was I saw it in here, and it's like, oh, this is exactly what he was
with the
talking about.
swearing, the swearing, and
The swearing and the hip stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really cool. So everybody else, go read it. Make sure you tell Joe how much you love it.
Dick.
Don't send any spoilers his way though. From Boom this week, Joe, Mighty Morphin issue 13. Again, Power Rangers fan, read Mighty Morphin, read Power Rangers. Those are two separate titles. I talked about the first arc for each on the show a while back. Been awesome. Really enjoying what Ryan Parrott's doing with both of those titles. And then we have the first issue of Regarding Oswald's Body, which you read.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and you don't know what's going on until the end of the book, and so you get a little bit in the beginning of you know, like a little bit that's going on, and then you're just introduced to four characters with this. You've got this sort of this one recruiter. He's just going around. Like you'll see a little story about a character, and and then all of a sudden, he gets, it's hard to explain, but like you got these four characters, and then there's one guy that's recruiting them all. And it's very interesting how the recruiter knows everything about these people, and the little 1 or 2 page story about that character before they get introduced to the recruiter, and then how it all comes together at the end. This is going to be a very interesting JFK, conspiracy, assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald story. Much different, than what we got with the Department of Truth.
Right.
But like very fascinating, very intriguing. The art, the writing was very, very interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading the next issue of this one.
So I'm going to leave that one for you right now.
Damn
And
Skippy.
Okay. And then, so I know you love a good whodunit. And look, we talk about a wide variety of books here. Of course, you love horror, and superhero stuff as well. And then like the indie, like hero type stuff that we get where it's a little bit more violent, but not really like anti-hero stories. But you loved a whodunit and detective stuff. But then you also really seem to like the conspiracy stuff. And I know horror is right there for you too. Do you know, like, do you have a favorite genre between those three, or is it not even one of those three?
I mean, I will always do, and choose a whodunit. That's always going to be my favorite.
Okay.
But I love horror because it's out of my, my
Comfort
wheelhouse,
zone.
out of my comfort zone, if you will. And I read a lot of it because the people that are writing them are fascinating as hell. Hey, kiddo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. It's the wee one.
She's throwing me off.
I can see that. That's what I was. That's what. I had a feeling it was still going to be a whodunit, but I wasn't certain.
Yeah, it always is, because that's just what I've always loved to read, whether it's prose or what I'm watching on TV or in movies. Like whodunits, good mysteries, like they will trump everything for me. That's just because I love trying to figure out, and then I love being surprised. And then I love rereading them after some time, because then you pick up on that stuff after the fact.
That's okay. So there we go. Now I know it's never going to change for Joe. I don't know. Like if you ask me what my favorite genre is, I just honestly, as long as there are pictures to the story, I'm going to give it a shot. But I guess it's probably fantasy, like high fantasy shit in the end, though. Gun to my head, probably. But anyways, we got AWA to round things out for what's new this week. We have Out issue 2 and Telepaths issue 3. Telepaths has been good. That's I can't go beyond good with it. And I think, and I'm wondering if that's going to be where it kind of stays. Just like just considering like what's going on with the resistance and everything, it's like, it feels very similar. It's a different world, all this stuff. So anyways, that's, another conversation for another day, because I do want to get to Joe's book in a second. But Out issue 2, I did read that. That was a solid first issue. It was, I think I gave it an 8.5 on Geek Worldwide, or an 8, something in that range. But the second issue, Joe, awesome. Like it definitely takes that big second step.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. The violence and the way things are developing and whatnot, and the little couple turns in it.
It needs that, because the first issue was good, not great. And so if it was that again,
You would have been out.
Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been out, but like issue 3 would have been really the make or break.
Yes, I still think you need to come back at the same level in this next issue, if not better, in the third one. But it was definitely a step in the right direction for sure. All right, Joe, it is time for you to tell us the book that you have planned for us this week.